What's up YouTube? This is going to be your guide on how to use Heatran in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. I'll be providing competitive movesets and some fun meme movesets too. If there's a Pokemon you'd like to see me cover, put it below in the comment section. If you enjoy these, they help you out, drop a like, and let's get into it. So Heatran is a pretty dang good Pokemon, and it has some good typing as well and good abilities. So we've got a Fire and Steel type. And looking at its stats here, we've got some very, very good defensive and special defensive bulk. And we've got a nice special attack stat. And along with the fire and steel typing, it's a pretty solid Pokemon for a lot of teams. The abilities we've got here are Flash Fire, which works very well with a fire and steel type Pokemon. And we also have Flame Body too. So Heatran can do quite a couple of different roles here. So I'm going to go over some of them now. The first one I'm going to have a look at here is going to be more focused on a single set. This one is going to be a Stealth Rock trapping set. Now, obviously, Stealth Rock is a good move on Heatran because it's got the typing and bulk to be able to set that up. And it also has a good special attack stat too. So even with, say, quite a defensive and special defensive investment and health investment, it still can do some pretty nice damage. So the other move I give it is either Magma Storm or Lava Plume, depending on the ability. For this set, I've got Magma Storm. So Magma Storm isn't too bad if you've got a Pokemon that's a difficult Pokemon to get around that relies on, say, Regenerator or something like that. You can sort of trap them in with Magmortar. Probably a good example would be something like Toxapex, right? They could come into a Fire-type move and then just swap out, right? With a move like this, you can trap them in, and you also have Earth Power as well for some coverage. So not a bad Pokemon for that. Or other real bulky special defensive walls that could come in like Chansey and stuff like that. You can slowly wear them down with Magma Storm and trap them in too, which is useful, and burn all the recover PP up. The other move you can give it are Taunt. It's not a bad Taunt user as well. You could give it that, or you could just pop on Flash Cannon as well if you wanted some Steel type stab on there as well. Another way you can run this, item as well, with Shuka Berry. So I would suggest Shuka Berry or Air Balloon as an item on Heatran. Because it's got that quad weakness to ground. So either one of these is pretty good. So you can technically make use of the Shuka Berry or the Air Balloon, and then you can opt for a Terra. Quite a good one here is Water, because that's going to be neutral, right? Or you could even give it Terra Blast if you really wanted to, so you could have a water type move there to use against any ground type users as well. But I probably wouldn't do that. I'd do that on a more special attacking set rather than a tanky Stealth Rocker, in my opinion there. So that's something you can do. If you don't like Magma Storm, you can do Lava Plume as well. But for this Magma Storm set, I've chosen Flame Body, right? Flame Body is better for that because you can get a burn, 30% chance to get a contact burn. So it wouldn't make any sense putting Lava Plume and Flame Body ability on the same team, right? Whereas Magma Storm is good for trapping, but it doesn't burn. So I would do something like Lava Plume and then have Flash Fire. And then you could, couple up Heatran with a Grass-type Pokemon. That's a good way to play this Heatran as well. Whether you're playing singles or doubles. So just another way of using Heatran and stuff like that. Another good Terra you could have is Grass as well. But I would only do Grass if you've got Flash Fire as the ability, because that way you can tempt the opponent to go for a Fire type move, or they might try and bluff a Flash Fire as well. So you don't really know until a burn happens. So that's another way of doing it. Another one you could run on there could be Ghost as well. Fighting moves are pretty common, so Ghost isn't too bad there. But I probably wouldn't be terroring this set. If I had 5 other Pokemon, there would be another Pokemon I'd terror over this for sure, definitely. So let's have a look at the next set here. So now we've got like a special sweeping set. So you can run this a couple of ways. I've given this a Choice Scarf set. So we're going like very, very offensive. It's got 130 base and special attack. So I feel like that shouldn't be ignored just to run it as a bulky set, I think you can sort of capitalize on that too. So we've got max special attack and max speed here. And we've got Fire Blast. Now, Fire Blast is a pretty decent move there, and I'm using it over Magma Storm because we're choice, right? Magma Storm's accuracy is, if you look back at this set too, if we just put that back in there, Magma Storm's accuracy is only 75, so it's trash, right? It may not even hit. That's why sometimes I didn't mind using Lava Plume over it, but I digress. Also, these are the EVs for my first set too. So we had 252 health, 76 defense, and 180 special defense there of bold nature. Just for some all-round bulk on either side. I felt like that was definitely worth it. If you had a Lava Plume set, you could probably put a little bit less into defense because you might get a burn there. But yeah, just thought I'd show that off. So back to this set here. So we've got Fire Blast, Earth Power. Earth Power is great for opposing Fire-type Pokemon. And also maybe other Pokemon like, an opposing Heatran will be very good as well. So anything that can resist and get around Fire Blast is useful. We got Flash Cannon here as another move there. And we also have just general Steel-type move. And we also have Terra Blast. Now, you can use Terra Blast Grass, like I mentioned before. That's not too bad as an option. And there are like other cool things you could do, like Terra type Electric. Because something like a good counter to this would be Gyarados, right? With its water and flying type. So a water type Pokemon would definitely come into Heatran. So Terra Electric could be a good surprise there. Alternatively, you could even have Air Balloon on here again. It's just a very handy item, and you still got the Air Balloon Terra Electric, right? So that's still gonna be fine. And yeah, you've got the option of using all your other moves there. So that's just another way to use Heatran, or you could put Choice Specs on there as well. That would hit really, really hard. So EVs here, we've got max special attack and max speed, timid nature. So it hits a reasonable speed set, nothing amazing. That's why I suggested you could run Choice Specs on there too. But this is more suited to singles for sure. We've got some doubles ones coming up. But yeah, that's how I go about using Heatran there. And as I said, you could put specs on there too. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. It's going to hit pretty hard for sure. But if you've got the right teammates and stuff, you can make this set work. As long as you've got something to swap into, like say a ground type move or a fighting type move, those are pretty important. And it's not too hard for that. I mean, Gyarados is actually quite a good partner for Heatran now that I mentioned that. So we'll go over some partners and some counters and stuff as we go on. All right, let's check out some doubles now. All right, so obviously this set is going to work a lot different to singles. So Heat Wave. Heat Wave is a great move on Heatran. If you want to use it in a doubles, you're going to be able to hit both the opponents. That is useful. We got Earth Power here. Just a good move there and allowing you to hit other fire-type Pokemon so you don't get walled. Got Protect on here, and I've got Leftovers too. Now, you've got an option of having Steel Beam as just a nuke, or you've got Flash Cannon as well. So that's something you might want to consider there. It kind of depends though. Like if you're like, well, I kind of don't like the idea of losing half my health using it, then fine. But you've got Leftovers on there, so you can technically get another one off if you're not attacked the first time. So that's why Protect can be useful. So this one I just made bulky and special attack. I don't see too much point in putting EVs in speed at all. It's not a fast Pokemon. So I've given this actual Trick Room EVs and IVs, as you notice, health and special attack. And then the lowest speed I've given it there. So it is quite a good Pokemon for Trick Room as well. So I could see that working on a Trick Room. In the past, it also used to get, I know it doesn't get it now, but I do want to make note of this. It actually used to get Eruption, which was quite good for sure, So if it ever got that back, I don't know if you're watching this in a later generation or many years down the track, it might get Eruption now. So do check that one out if it is in the game. That was very, very good. But it can work on definitely work on a Sun team very nicely. but there's some other good grass Pokemon as well that it can work well with. Flash Fire and grass Pokemon always work well together because, you know, the 4 times weakness to ground, we can swap in the grass type, and then you've got the Flash Fire for the grass type Pokemon as a swap in, so or your support. So it works very, very well for that. Terra types. Terra Fairy you've got there for any fighting type moves. Ground is at least neutral. You could do Terra Fire on there if you wanted to boost the power of Heat Wave. Yeah, I wouldn't do too much more than maybe Grass. Grass is a good one. But there's not... maybe Bug. You could go for Bug, but I know it resists its weaknesses, but Bug isn't the greatest type out there, so I'd be a little bit wary doing that. I'd go one of the other ones that I mentioned before, Bug, but I just wanted to mention Bug because it could work, you know, for fighting and ground and stuff like that. And you can draw out a Flash Fire from it, so it's not all that bad. But that's an option you could do for a Heatran here. Now, obviously, if you wanted it to live certain moves, you could, or you know, outspeed something, you could run speed EVs on it if you wanted to, right? I'm not saying you couldn't do that. But this one I've made for Trick Room, so if it's not for Trick Room, you could maybe put speed EVs into there. I just don't think it's that worth it, unless you're trying to specifically outspeed something, right? All right, let's have a look at the next set. All right, so I wanted to make a mention here of Zoom Lens, because Zoom Lens is an item you don't really get to see that often, but in this case, it can work pretty well on Heatran. So this is like my bulky set here. So it's kind of similar to the first set that I made for singles, but it's got some key differences. So on this set, we got Flash Fire. That's most people, or everyone is going to use Flash Fire on Heatran in doubles, right? It's the best ability. You can drop back to another ability in singles. It can work a little bit better there, but Flash Fire is pretty good in doubles. I don't know if you'd really pick the other ability over it at any point in time. So Will-O-Wisp, it does get that, so that gives you a guaranteed burn. So you've got a Will-O-Wisp and Magma Storm trapping set here, which works well with Protect. Now, Magma Storm is 75% accuracy, which is pretty crap, to be honest. However, if you're holding the Zoom Lens, you actually get a 1.2 times if it moves after the target. So if you've got, say, a Heatran which is really slow, and you had one that was low IVs here, you could even have, like, say, for example, Sassy on there to drop its speed even further. Then you have a good chance of Magma Storm actually hitting then. A much better chance than 75, right? So Zoom Lens could be like a really good. And also Zoom Lens would work for Will-O-Wisp too. So see, it sort of builds on the set there. And then you've got Protect there, so you might be able to Magma Storm and trap in other Pokemon, which could be a threat. And then you could swap in, say, an Intimidate user or a Grass-type Pokemon, to get the sort of swap on your opponent there and momentum going. So that could definitely work. Other move, I just put Earth Power on there for coverage, because a Fire type can completely counter this. So this is my bulky build here, my bulky trapping build. And it can still work in doubles. I did try it out. I'm not saying it's the greatest out there, but it can still work. So we got our max health, 76 in defense, 180 in special defense with Sassy Nature. It gives it very good special bulk, and it gives it enough defensive bulk for you to be able to burn a physical type and then be okay after they are burned there. So I didn't put as much in defense because we've already got stuff like Will-O-Wisp. So we probably don't need to go really defensive on this set. Just a little bit there. So that's sort of my set. Terra Steel for Flash Fire, Terra Grass. I think Steel's pretty good. Personally, I like Steel on Heatran. That's quite good. You could do Terra I haven't mentioned this, but you could try Terra Flying as well if you really wanted to. That could be another one to get around all that. But then you are opening yourself up to a lot of weaknesses then. So would it be truly worth it for Heatran? I don't think so. Unless it's like a sweeping set. More supporty sets, probably not. There's probably a better option to actually, to go for there. But I just wanted to mention that. So that's my bulky special defensive sort of Will-O-Wisp Magma Storm trapping set. Let's have a look at some other options, and then we'll have a look at the PIMPNITE special. Then we'll do some teammates and counters and such. All right, so Heatran does get Iron Defense, which is pretty good because it has a good defensive stat. And having a nice defensive stat with Iron Defense can be quite helpful. So this is a little bit more gimmicky and probably better for singles, I would say. But you can definitely use it in doubles if you wanted to. It would just require a fair bit of support. So let's have a look at it. So we got Iron Defense and Body Press, obviously. We got Rest and Chesto Berry there to heal it off while it does its Iron Defense. And we have Magma Storm. So Magma Storm is useful for trapping a Pokemon in that you know can't do a lot of damage to you and to build up the Iron Defenses. And by the time, they're freed from the trap, you've already set your Iron, your 1 or 2 Iron Defenses up, or you've got a Rest off there. And then you're good to go to start spamming it. I just run this one as a raw 252 in health and special defense, so definitely good for singles, more optimized for singles with Calm Nature. And we've got Terra type fighting there, so we're going to try and do as much damage with Body Press as possible. If you wanted to try and debate the opponent into going for a fire move, you could always do... you could always try and do like Grass or Steel or one of those other ones, but there will be a bit of a significant power drop if you don't go for the Terra Fighting. But just another way to possibly run Heatran there for sure. I'm just trying to give you lots of options as usual. All right, let's have a look at a PIMPNITE special now. I always like to do these sets. All right, here we are, everyone. We got a physical Heatran. So this is a metal coat set. So we're powering up Hard Press here. But let me explain the set. So we've got Flash Fire and Terra Steel. And we've also got Iron Head for flinching. Rock Slide for flinching. Flame Charge for boosting our speed. And then we've also got Hard Press as like a initial nuke here to do lots of power. So that goes off how much health the opponent has left. So if they got a full health, you can hit them with that, and then you can finish them off in flinching. Metal Coat boosting Iron Head and Hard Press here, and Flame Charge boosting your speed. Rock Slide getting some flinches there. And yeah, we got attack and we got speed, Adam and Nature. So there you go, the PIMPNITE special set. Could be a bit of fun. I have used this one before. I made a few people salty. It doesn't hit super hard because you don't really have a huge attack stat. It's only 90, but if you get some flinches in the right place, you can cause a bit of trouble, that is for sure. And, Rock Slide gives it some... Rock Slide, Iron Head, Flame Charge gives it reasonable coverage to get around some things there. Not total coverage, but reasonable coverage. So, bit of fun on that if you want to try a physical Heatran set out. Let's have a look now at some counters and teammates and stuff like that. So, a good partner for Heatran is definitely Rillaboom, right? Because Rillaboom has got... Rillaboom and... Well, especially Heatran works very, very well in grassy terrain. In fact, you could even give Heatran Grassy Seed, as well as, in getting that defense boost as well with Rillaboom. So Rillaboom being weak to fire and flying makes Heatran a very, very good swap in for it. Or partner, right? So they do work well together for sure. They have good synergy together, and any ground type moves, well, Rillaboom can deal with them with its grass type moves. So I would say those two Pokemon are a very, very sort of solid combination there. Definitely a solid combination for sure. That would probably be one of the best partners. They work really, really well together. Some other ones you could pick as well. Vladimir would probably be good for any fighting type Pokemon that threaten Heatran, and then you can just destroy them with a fairy type move. So that'd be good. And I also mentioned Gyarados as well, when I could spell. So Gyarados is a water and flying type Pokemon, so that can swap into ground type moves, fighting type moves. It's very, very good for and water type moves for Heatran. So it's a great sort of swap in there, and you might be able to set up some D-Dance and stuff. I have done a Gyarados guide if you want to check that out. And as well, if you're wondering about my guides, there's a playlist there. I've done hundreds of Pokemon, so if you want to check them out, go check them out there. I do plan to do them all. So that's not too bad at all. I think that's quite a good Pokemon. I don't think... Oh, Rotom Watch could be good as well. So another sort of... Because this does have Levitate, so I could see that being a good Pokemon with Heatran too. So that's another sort of good teammate. anything that definitely synergy-wise with Heatran is going to be super, super nice there. There's a lot more teammates than that, but I just wanted to give you a couple there. Something that could work here for doubles as well. So, well, they can virtually work for doubles and singles. I'd say for both formats, they're gonna be pretty good formats. A Pokemon that really counters Heatran is Dondozo. It does counter it a lot, just because it's typing and its ability. Unless Heatran has something like Terra Blast Grass, Heatran's ass is gonna be grass, basically. I don't know how else to put that, but it's gonna be it's gonna have a very, very bad time. And then we've got, Gyarados is another one too, so that's a good counter as well. So any of those sort of Pokemon. It's funny, a lot of Pokemon work well with their counters and stuff like that. And any Ghost-type Pokemon as well. I was thinking Annihilate would be pretty good for Heatran, because that could build up its Rage Fist as well. And, go Drain Punch and destroy Heatran. And it can be, you can build bulky on Annihilate as well. So that could definitely be an issue for Heatran too, depending on what format you're actually playing as well, or even they'd be able to force a Terror from the Pokemon. So just thinking of some other Pokemon that could work well, that would actually work well or counter it. I'd say Gliska is a very good counter as well, because that can really threaten with Earthquake and destroy Heatran. That could be a good counter. Another one that doesn't really care about Heatran too much is a Alomomola. It can just swap in and then swap out, and even its weak moves like Scald and stuff can be annoying. Now another good one that could work, I'm just thinking here, that could work with it would be Corviknight too. Corviknight's also very good. So they have pretty good synergy, because Corviknight can swap into the ground moves, and it can swap into fighting moves as well, and then vice versa for any fire type moves. So they can work really, really well together as well. So that's just a couple of counters and teammates and stuff like that. Let's have a look at some last minute stuff on Heatran there, if I've missed anything. I also like to go over all of its moves, just in case I have missed anything. So we've got Iron Defense, we went over that. Protect is good in doubles, not bad in singles if you got leftovers too. It can get Rest and Sleep Talk, but you could try something like that, but I think it's kind of best left to another Pokemon. Stealth Rock, yeah, it's pretty obvious there. It can be Taunt. It can be good for Taunt, but a lot of times it's not the fastest Pokemon, so Taunt might be okay, depending on sort of what rule set you're playing and stuff like that. But a lot of the time it can get outsped, so it doesn't really matter too much. Will-O-Wisp isn't bad if you're not running something like Lava Plume. Does get Metal Sound, so you might be able to make some janky throat spray set with it, which could be pretty powerful. But that would be more, obviously, that would be more gimmicky, but interesting to know that it does get Metal Sound, and it has Sandstorm and Sunny Day too, so it could work on a Sun team. That's pretty much it. It's very, very limited on the moves it gets. All right, looking at its special moves, so it gets Dark Pulse. That's not anything super amazing. Dragon Pulse, yeah, it's okay for Dragon type Pokemon, but that's it. I feel like these are very low coverage moves that don't really hit much, and they don't really need to be included. You must have Earth Power on pretty much every Heatran set, or you're going to get walled. So either Earth Power, Fire Blast, or even Flamethrower. Those are good for singles, and of course Heat Wave or Lava Plume for doubles. And Magma Storm if you want to try a trapping set. Overheat you might be able to use on a Choice Spec set. That would be alright. And then you've got Power Gem too. Power Gem might be good for hitting stuff like Ho-Oh. That wouldn't be too bad. Or you could try your hand at Ancient Power as well. But yeah, that's pretty much it. You could try it on a Sun team with Solar Beam too. Like, that would be interesting to get around any ground and rock type Pokemon. So Solar Beam is an option. Only on a Sun team though, like with Torkoal and Ninetales and some other stuff like that could work. And then you could, I don't know, it would be interesting. And then you've got, Steel Beam as a nuke. We mentioned that, and some other sort of moves you probably wouldn't use too much. But that's a special move, so it's a little bit limited. And then, we'll show its physical moves. Of course, they always have tons of physical moves on the Pokemon that is more primarily a special attacker. So Body Press, we had a look at that already. It actually has some good moves, like some good physical moves. It has like Heat Crash as well. It does have Heat Crash and Heavy Slam. They're good for fairy type Pokemon which are very light. Say something like Ribombee or something like that. A really light fairy Pokemon. There's quite a few of them. And you've got Heat Crash for the same sort of reason there. But you probably wouldn't use a physical set if you're looking competitive. If you're looking for memes, I did do a physical set earlier on, but it does get a good amount of physical moves there. So if you could try a body press set or a complete physical set, a flinching set. It does have a couple of options to run there. It even has Metal Claw if you want to try and raise his attack. Good luck with that. But that's pretty much it. So the thing about Heatran is its typing and its ability. It's very, very good for that. And there are ways to get rid of its, to get around its 4 times weak to ground too. It resists a lot of stuff. It's just generally a good Pokemon that you could slot anywhere onto your team, I believe. Whether it be just a bulky support Pokemon or a full-out special attacker. But I think it works best in grassy terrain with Rillaboom. But when I've used it the most, it works well then with that sort of partnership, or with having a grass Pokemon and a Flash Fire, and then say like Heatran, Rillaboom, Rotom, Wash / Gyarados, that sort of core there, it works very, very well in those sort of teams, depending on what moveset you're using, but that would be my advice there if you want to use Heatran. Anyway, that's about it. If you want to add anything to the comments, go for it. If you've got any movesets you use, suggest any Pokemon you like to see. We are obviously going through the legendaries at the moment, so we're up to like Generation 4. So once I've done them, I'm going to get onto some other Pokemon too. All right, that's about it. Peace out.